Welcome, history enthusiasts, to a journey through the annals of time, a voyage into the lives and legacies of those who wielded immense power, the rulers who shaped civilizations for better or for worse. This isn't a simple ranking of good guys and bad guys, a simplistic dichotomy that fails to capture the complexities of history. Instead, we'll embark on a nuanced exploration of the extremes of power, examining the reigns of both the most celebrated and the most reviled figures in human history. We'll delve into their triumphs and their tragedies, their moments of brilliance and their catastrophic errors, seeking to understand the context of their actions and the enduring impact they left on the world. For the next several hours, we'll be traversing centuries, continents, and cultures, encountering a fascinating cast of characters. We'll examine the reigns of emperors who built empires that spanned vast swathes of land, kings who ushered in eras of unprecedented prosperity, and potentates whose cruelty and tyranny left indelible scars on humanity. We will also investigate the lives of those whose reigns were marked by devastating wars, economic collapse, and widespread suffering. Our journey begins not with simple judgments, but with a commitment to understanding the multifaceted nature of power and its consequences. We'll analyze the social, economic, and political landscapes in which these rulers operated, exploring the factors that contributed to their success or their downfall. We'll examine the challenges they faced, the choices they made, and the impact of those choices on their people and the course of history. We'll be looking at rulers from across the globe, from the ancient world to the modern era. We'll consider figures such as Genghis Khan, whose Mongol hordes swept across Eurasia, leaving a legacy of both brutal conquest and remarkable administrative innovation. We'll explore the reign of Nero, the Roman emperor whose name is synonymous with tyranny and extravagance, yet whose artistic patronage and complex personality defy simple categorization. We'll delve into the life of Akbar the Great, the Mughal emperor who oversaw a period of unprecedented cultural flourishing and religious tolerance. And we'll grapple with the legacy of Ivan the Terrible, whose reign was a terrifying blend of ruthless autocracy and periods of surprising reform. These are just a few examples of the fascinating individuals we'll be encountering on this journey. This podcast is not about delivering simple verdicts. It's about understanding the complexities of leadership, the challenges of governance, and the enduring impact of individual choices on the trajectory of entire societies. We will explore the motivations behind their actions, the forces that shape their decisions, and the long-term consequences of their reigns. We'll consider the perspectives of their contemporaries and the interpretations of historians across generations, recognizing that the evaluation of historical figures is always evolving and subject to reinterpretation. We will analyze the strategies they employed to consolidate and maintain power, the relationships they cultivated or destroyed, and the ethical dilemmas they faced. Were their actions justified by the context of their time? Did their vision for the future benefit or harm their subjects? These are the questions we'll be grappling with throughout this exploration. We'll examine their military strategies, their economic policies, their social reforms, and their personal lives, seeking to create a comprehensive portrait of each ruler. We'll be using a variety of historical sources, including primary documents, chronicles, and the work of modern historians, to build a rich and nuanced understanding of their lives and legacies. The study of history is not just about memorizing dates and names. It's about understanding the human condition, the enduring struggles for power, the complexities of human motivation, and the lasting impact of individual choices on the course of civilization. This podcast aims to be a journey of discovery, a chance to grapple with the big questions about power, leadership, and the legacy of those who shaped the world we inhabit today. We'll be examining the ways in which these rulers used their power, sometimes for the benefit of their people, sometimes for their own self-aggrandizement. We'll explore the different forms of governance they implemented, the challenges they faced in maintaining control, and the consequences of their actions. We'll consider how their decisions impacted the lives of ordinary people, from the wealthiest merchants to the poorest peasants. This exploration will delve into the psychological aspects of leadership, examining the personalities and motivations of these rulers. We'll look at the pressures they faced, the compromises they made, and the moral dilemmas they encountered. We'll explore the ways in which their personal beliefs and experiences shaped their policies and their actions. Ultimately, this journey through history's extremes of power is not just about judging the past, but about learning from it. By understanding the successes and failures of these rulers, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the complexities of leadership, the challenges of governance, and the enduring impact of human choices on the course of history. We'll learn from their mistakes, celebrate their triumphs, and strive to understand the context that shaped their decisions. So, settle in comfortably, prepare for a fascinating journey, and let's begin our exploration of history's most remarkable and most controversial rulers. Over the next several hours, we'll be delving deep into the lives of these individuals, examining the intricate tapestry of their reigns, and uncovering the lessons that their stories offer us today. Prepare to be challenged, to be surprised, and ultimately, to be enlightened. Our journey into the extremes of power begins now. Our journey into the extremes of power now takes us to the heart of the Roman Empire, to a reign shrouded in both myth and historical record. The reign of Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, better known as Caligula. His name, meaning little boots, a childhood nickname, belies the immense power he wielded and the indelible mark he left on Roman history, a legacy forever stained by accusations of madness, cruelty, and unparalleled extravagance. Caligula's life, even before his ascension to the imperial throne, was steeped in drama. Born into the Julio-Claudian dynasty, he was the great-grandson of Augustus, the first Roman emperor and the nephew of the Emperor Tiberius. His early years were marked by both privilege and instability. His father, Germanicus, a popular general, died under suspicious circumstances, fueling rumors of poisoning and further embroiling the family in political intrigue. This early exposure to the cutthroat world of Roman politics likely shaped his later behavior, though it certainly doesn't excuse it. His reign, which began in 37 CE, initially offered a glimmer of hope. He enjoyed considerable popularity in the early months, undertaking public works projects and displaying a generosity that contrasted sharply with the parsimonious rule of his predecessor, Tiberius. However, this period of relative benevolence was short-lived. Within a few years, Caligula's behavior took a dramatic turn. The historical accounts of Caligula's reign are rife with tales of his alleged madness, cruelty, and extravagance. He is described as having appointed his horse, Incitatus, to the Roman Senate, showering it with lavish gifts, and even building it a marble stable. He is accused of indulging in orgies, murdering his enemies without mercy, and exhibiting a degree of capricious cruelty that horrified even the jaded Roman populace. These accounts, primarily derived from the writings of Roman historians such as Suetonius and Cassius Dio, paint a picture of a despot driven by irrational impulses and unbridled lust for power. However, it's crucial to approach these sources with a critical eye. Suetonius, for example, was known for his sensationalism, and his account of Caligula's reign might have been influenced by the political climate of his own time. Similarly, Cassius Dio wrote centuries after the events he described, relying on second-hand accounts and potentially influenced by biases against the Julio-Claudian dynasty. The question remains, how much of what we know about Caligula reflects historical reality, and how much is the product of exaggeration, political propaganda, or simply the passage of time distorting the truth? The debate surrounding the accuracy of these historical accounts continues to this day. Some historians argue that Caligula suffered from a mental illness, perhaps epilepsy or a form of psychosis, which explains his erratic behavior. Others suggest that the accounts of his cruelty and extravagance were deliberately exaggerated by his enemies to discredit him and undermine the legitimacy of the imperial dynasty. It's also important to consider the political context of Caligula's reign. The Roman Empire, even at the height of its power, faced internal tensions and external threats. Caligula's reign coincided with a period of social and political unrest. and his actions may have been a response to these pressures, an attempt to consolidate his power in the face of opposition. His extravagant spending, for instance, may have been a calculated attempt to win the favor of the populace, a strategy that ultimately failed. Regardless of the exact nature of his actions, the impact of Caligula's reign on the Roman Empire was undeniable. His erratic behavior and ruthless policies destabilized the empire, creating an environment of fear and uncertainty. His death at the hands of his own Praetorian Guard in 41 CE marked an abrupt end to his turbulent rule, but his legacy continued to cast a long shadow over the succeeding emperors. The instability of his reign served as a cautionary tale, highlighting the dangers of unchecked power and the fragility of even the mightiest empires. The story of Caligula stands as a testament to the complexities of historical interpretation. It reminds us that the past is never straightforward, that the sources we rely on are often biased and incomplete, and that the truth often lies somewhere between the extremes. While the details of his reign may be debated, the impact of Caligula's rule on the Roman Empire remains a potent reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and the importance of understanding the historical context in which we interpret the actions of historical figures. His reign, a blend of fact and legend, serves as a cautionary tale, a dramatic interlude in the long and complex history of the Roman Empire, a story that continues to fascinate and intrigue us centuries later. It's a story that forces us to question our sources, to analyze the biases inherent in historical accounts, and to strive for a more nuanced understanding of the past. And that, in itself, is a testament to the enduring power of history to challenge and inform us. From the excesses of the Roman Empire, we now leap across centuries to the tumultuous world of the medieval papacy, a period marked by both spiritual fervor and profound political intrigue. Our focus shifts to a figure whose name is synonymous with scandal and corruption, Pope John XII. His papacy, brief but remarkably impactful, offers a compelling case study of the challenges faced by the papacy during a time of considerable upheaval and the consequences of unchecked power within the religious sphere. John XII, whose birth name was Octavian, ascended to the papacy at the remarkably young age of 18 in 955 CE. His election, shrouded in controversy from the outset, signaled a departure from the often austere and pious image associated with previous popes. He was accused of being more interested in worldly pleasures than spiritual guidance, a charge that would define his papacy and ultimately lead to his downfall. The accounts of John XII's reign are painted in vivid, if often scandalous, detail. Chronicles of the period depict a pope who abandoned his religious duties in favor of a life of debauchery and self-indulgence. He was accused of engaging in numerous adulterous affairs, transforming the papal palace into a scene of constant revelry and disregarding the sacred vows of his office. These accusations, while shocking by today's standards, were particularly damning within the context of the medieval church, which placed a strong emphasis on clerical celibacy and moral rectitude. Beyond the personal scandals, John XII's papacy was also marked by widespread accusations of simony, the buying and selling of ecclesiastical offices. This practice, already a significant problem within the church, flourished under his rule, further eroding the authority and moral standing of the papacy. The appointment of bishops and other high-ranking church officials was often dictated not by piety or merit, but by the size of one's purse, creating a system rife with corruption and undermining the church's spiritual mission. The political context of John XII's papacy is equally crucial to understanding his reign. The 10th century was a period of significant political instability in Europe, with the Holy Roman Empire struggling to assert its authority and various regional powers vying for dominance. The papacy, far from being a detached spiritual entity, was deeply embroiled in these power struggles. John XII used his position to advance his political ambitions, forming alliances with secular rulers and engaging in political maneuvering that often prioritized his personal interests over the needs of the church. His disregard for religious duties extended beyond personal morality and into matters of ecclesiastical governance. He was accused of neglecting his pastoral responsibilities, failing to provide adequate leadership to the church, and allowing corruption to fester within its ranks. This lack of spiritual guidance exacerbated the existing tensions within the church, weakening its moral authority and creating a climate of discontent among both the clergy and the laity. The consequences of John XII's actions were profound. His scandalous behavior and blatant disregard for religious principles fueled widespread criticism and eroded public trust in the papacy. The accusations against him prompted a significant challenge to papal authority, culminating in his deposition in 963 CE. A council of bishops, convened by the Holy Roman Emperor Otto I, formally condemned John XII for his numerous transgressions, effectively ending his reign and highlighting the fragility of papal power when confronted with widespread opposition. John XII's papacy serves as a stark reminder of human failings that can occur even within the highest echelons of religious authority. It demonstrates how the pursuit of power and personal gratification can lead to the corruption of institutions and the erosion of trust. The events of his reign offer valuable insight into the complexities of the medieval papacy, highlighting the challenges to papal authority and the internal struggles within the church during a period of significant political and social transformation. His story is a cautionary tale, emphasizing the importance of accountability and moral leadership within religious institutions and illustrating the enduring tension between spiritual authority and worldly power. It also underlines the importance of examining historical figures not in isolation, but within the rich tapestry of their historical context, understanding the political pressures and social norms that shape their actions, even if those actions were ultimately detrimental to the institution they led. His reign, though brief, left an undeniable mark on the history of the papacy, a legacy that continues to be debated and analyzed centuries later. From the scandals of the medieval papacy, we journey eastward to the vast expanse of 16th century Russia, a land ruled by a figure whose name evokes both awe and terror. Ivan IV, better known as Ivan the Terrible. His reign, a complex tapestry woven with threads of remarkable achievement and unspeakable cruelty, provides a compelling case study of the seductive nature of absolute power and its devastating consequences. Ivan IV's ascension to the throne at the age of 3 in 1533 CE plunged Russia into a period of intense political instability. The young Tsar was surrounded by ambitious boyars, powerful noble families who vied for control of the regency, leaving Ivan vulnerable to manipulation and intrigue. This turbulent childhood likely shaped his character, contributing to the volatile and unpredictable nature of his rule. He inherited a kingdom fragmented by internal strife and external threats, a daunting task for even the most seasoned leader. Initially, Ivan IV's reign displayed signs of promise. He implemented significant reforms, strengthening the central government, expanding Russia's territories, and establishing a more efficient administrative system. His military campaigns against the Khanate of Kazan and Astrakhan, culminating in their conquest, expanded Russia's influence significantly, marking him as a strong and capable ruler. He also oversaw the creation of a new legal code, codifying laws and attempting to establish a more uniform legal system across the vast Russian territories. These early successes solidified his position and enhanced his reputation as a powerful and effective leader. However, this period of relative stability and success was tragically overshadowed by the emergence of Ivan's darker side. The mid-1560s witnessed a dramatic shift in his personality and policies with the introduction of the Oprichnina, a period of brutal tyranny that left an indelible mark on Russian history. The Oprichnina was essentially a separate state within a state, a personal army and administrative system loyal only to Ivan. This force, composed of loyal supporters and ruthless enforcers, was tasked with eliminating opposition to Ivan's rule, often through brutal violence and executions. The Oprichnina was characterized by widespread terror and violence. Thousands of boyars, suspected of treason or opposition, were executed, their families often suffering the same fate. Entire towns were ravaged, their inhabitants subjected to torture and murder. The Oprichnina's reign of terror extended beyond the nobility, impacting all levels of Russian society. The economy suffered, trade routes were disrupted, and the population lived in constant fear of the Oprichniki, the elite members of Ivan's personal army. Ivan's paranoia and cruelty seemingly knew no bounds. He was known for his fits of rage, his unpredictable outbursts often leading to senseless violence. His own family was not spared from his wrath. A famous incident involved Ivan accidentally killing his son, Ivan Ivanovich, in a fit of anger, an act that further cemented his image as a tyrannical and ruthless ruler. The Oprichnina, while initially serving Ivan's ambition to consolidate his power and suppress dissent, ultimately proved counterproductive. It crippled the Russian economy, alienated many of his subjects, and further destabilized the already fragile political landscape. The widespread destruction and terror created by the Oprichnina caused significant long-term damage to Russia, hindering its development and leaving a legacy of fear and mistrust. The legacy of Ivan the Terrible is therefore a complex and multifaceted one. He was undoubtedly a powerful and effective ruler in certain periods, expanding Russia's territories and consolidating its power. His reforms and military achievements significantly shaped the course of Russian history. However, his reign is also indelibly marked by the brutal tyranny of the Oprichnina, a period of widespread violence and destruction that left a lasting scar on Russian society. His legacy is a stark reminder of the destructive potential of unchecked power and the devastating consequences of a ruler's descent into paranoia and cruelty. The balance between his achievements and atrocities continues to be debated, highlighting the complexity of judging historical figures and the challenges of separating their accomplishments from their misdeeds. The story of Ivan the Terrible is a cautionary tale, a powerful testament to the enduring tension between progress and tyranny, a reminder of the human capacity for both great achievements and unspeakable cruelty. His reign remains a critical turning point in Russian history, a pivotal period that shaped the nation's political and social landscape for centuries to come. From the frozen steppes of Russia, we now journey to the heart of the Roman Empire, a civilization renowned for its grandeur and its capacity for both extraordinary achievement and profound cruelty. Our focus shifts to one of history's most infamous emperors, Nero, a figure whose name has become synonymous with tyranny, extravagance, and artistic ambition. His reign, a tumultuous blend of creative brilliance and ruthless oppression, offers a compelling study of the complex interplay between personal ambition, political power, and the enduring legacy of a ruler's actions. Nero's life began amidst the intrigues and power struggles that characterized the Roman imperial court. Born Lucius Domitius Ahenobarbus in 37 CE, he was adopted by the Emperor Claudius, a move that dramatically altered the course of his life. His ascension to the throne in 54 CE, following Claudius's death, was shrouded in suspicion and allegations of foul play, setting the stage for a reign marked by both extraordinary achievements and unimaginable cruelty. While often depicted as a depraved and tyrannical ruler, Nero was also a man of considerable artistic talent. He possessed a genuine passion for music, poetry, and the dramatic arts, and he actively cultivated his image as a patron of the arts. He commissioned grand architectural projects, supported artists and performers, and even participated in public performances, showcasing his vocal and acting abilities. His artistic pursuits, however, were often intertwined with his political ambitions, serving as a means of solidifying his power and enhancing his image amongst the populace. His patronage of the arts, while genuine in some aspects, also served as a tool to bolster his popularity and distract from his increasingly tyrannical rule. However, Nero's artistic endeavors were overshadowed by his increasingly erratic and tyrannical behavior. His reign was characterized by a growing sense of paranoia, fueled by real and imagined threats to his power. He purged his opponents ruthlessly, often resorting to violence and executions. His extravagance and lavish spending further alienated many within the Roman elite, contributing to the growing discontent among the populace. The Great Fire of Rome in 64 CE, a devastating event that ravaged the city, remains one of the most controversial aspects of Nero's reign. While the exact cause of the fire remains uncertain, it ignited rumors and accusations that Nero himself had ordered it, a charge that has fueled speculation and debate for centuries. Although historians largely discredit this claim, the perception that Nero was indifferent or worse, complicit in the disaster significantly damaged his already fragile reputation. The widespread destruction and suffering caused by the fire further exacerbated the growing tensions within Roman society. The fire and its aftermath served as a catalyst for widespread social unrest and provided fertile ground for the spread of rumors and conspiracy theories that further fueled the discontent against Nero's rule. In the aftermath of the fire, Nero initiated a massive rebuilding program, constructing grand new structures and attempting to reshape the city. This reconstruction, however, did little to quell the unrest, as the emperor's focus remained on personal enrichment and the consolidation of his power. The rebuilding effort, while architecturally impressive, failed to address the underlying social and political tensions that plagued the empire. The scale and extravagance of the rebuilding projects, often undertaken without regard to the needs of the populace, further fueled public resentment and distrust. Another dark chapter in Nero's reign was his persecution of Christians. The early Christian community, a relatively small and marginalized group at the time, became the target of Nero's wrath, often blamed for the Great Fire of Rome. The accounts of the persecutions, though often shrouded in ambiguity and exaggeration, highlight the brutality and ruthlessness of Nero's rule. The persecution of Christians marked a significant turning point in the history of early Christianity and provide a somber reminder of the consequences of religious intolerance and the abuse of power. Nero's downfall came swiftly and dramatically. Facing mounting opposition and widespread rebellion, he was declared a public enemy by the Roman Senate in 68 CE. He fled Rome, attempting to escape the wrath of his enemies, but was ultimately cornered and forced to commit suicide. His death marked the end of the Julio-Claudian dynasty and ushered in a period of instability and civil war, highlighting the fragility of the Roman Empire and the destructive consequences of a ruler's unchecked ambition and cruelty. Nero's reign serves as a powerful case study of the complex relationship between artistic talent and political tyranny. His artistic pursuits, while genuine, were often intertwined with his political ambitions, serving as a means of consolidating power and enhancing his image. However, his artistic achievements were ultimately overshadowed by his brutal actions, his extravagance, and his descent into tyranny. The legacy of Nero is a cautionary tale, a reminder of the destructive potential of unchecked power and the lasting consequences of a ruler's actions. His story remains a source of fascination and debate, highlighting the enduring complexities of judging historical figures and the challenges of understanding the interplay between personal ambition and political power. His reign stands as a testament to the human capacity for both extraordinary creativity and profound cruelty, a legacy that continues to resonate throughout history. From the tumultuous reign of Nero, we now turn our attention to one of history's most celebrated military commanders, Alexander III of Macedon, better known as Alexander the Great. His life, a whirlwind of conquest and expansion, stands as a testament to strategic brilliance and tactical innovation, leaving an indelible mark on the ancient world and shaping the course of history for centuries to come. His story isn't simply one of military prowess. It's a narrative woven with ambition, cultural exchange, and a legacy that continues to inspire awe and debate. Alexander's rise to power wasn't accidental. He inherited a kingdom already poised for expansion, forged by the shrewd and ambitious rule of his father, Philip II. Philip had unified the various Greek city-states under Macedonian dominance, creating a powerful military machine ready to conquer the known world. But it was Alexander who would wield this machine with unparalleled skill and audacity. He was educated by the renowned philosopher Aristotle, a training that instilled in him a deep appreciation for learning and a thirst for knowledge that would fuel his explorations and interactions with the diverse cultures he encountered during his campaigns. At the tender age of 20, upon his father's assassination, Alexander ascended to the throne, inheriting not just a kingdom, but a responsibility to fulfill his father's ambitions and surpass them. He possessed an innate understanding of military strategy and tactics, coupled with a charismatic leadership style that inspired unwavering loyalty among his troops. This combination proved potent, propelling him toward unprecedented military success. Alexander's military campaigns were characterized by a remarkable blend of strategic planning and tactical flexibility. He didn't simply rely on brute force. He adapted his strategies to suit the specific challenges presented by each enemy and terrain. His understanding of logistics, troop morale, and the psychology of warfare was exceptional, allowing him to achieve victories against seemingly insurmountable odds. He mastered the art of swift maneuverability, often outflanking his opponents and exploiting their weaknesses with precision and speed. His innovative use of combined arms tactics, integrating infantry, cavalry, and siege weaponry with remarkable effectiveness, was a significant departure from the conventional military strategies of the time. His initial campaigns focused on consolidating his control over the Greek city-states, putting down any remaining resistance to Macedonian rule. These victories solidified his position as the undisputed leader of Greece, setting the stage for his ambitious plans to conquer the vast Persian Empire. The invasion of Persia, launched in 334 BCE, marked a turning point in ancient history. It was a bold and audacious undertaking, challenging the might of the wealthiest and most powerful empire of its time. Alexander's army, though numerically inferior, was far superior in training, discipline, and tactical proficiency. The Battle of Granicus River marked the beginning of Alexander's relentless advance through Asia Minor. His army, skillfully deployed and utilizing Alexander's innovative tactics, decisively defeated the Persian forces, showcasing his mastery of battlefield command. This victory opened the gateway to the heart of the Persian Empire, paving the way for a series of stunning victories against larger, better-equipped Persian armies. The battles of Issus and Gaugamela stand out as testaments to Alexander's strategic genius and his ability to inspire his troops to achieve the seemingly impossible. Alexander's victories weren't merely about military conquest. They were also about the spread of Hellenistic culture. As his armies advanced, they brought with them Greek language, art, architecture, and philosophy, leading to a fusion of cultures that significantly impacted the regions he conquered. The establishment of new cities, bearing Greek names and incorporating Greek architectural styles, serve as centers of Hellenistic influence, promoting cultural exchange and the dissemination of Greek ideas throughout the vast expanse of his empire. This cultural fusion, while sometimes imposed through conquest, also resulted in a vibrant exchange of ideas and artistic styles, shaping the cultural landscape of the Near East for centuries to come. Alexander's conquests weren't without their challenges. He faced logistical difficulties in supplying his vast army, navigating unfamiliar terrains, and dealing with the diverse cultures and political landscapes of the conquered territories. The sheer scale of his empire presented significant administrative challenges, requiring innovative solutions to maintain control and stability across such a geographically diverse realm. The rebellion of local populations, fueled by resentment towards Macedonian rule, posed a constant threat, highlighting the challenges of maintaining control over such an expansive and diverse empire. Despite these challenges, Alexander's impact on the ancient world was profound and lasting. He extended the reach of Greek culture and influence, leaving an indelible mark on the political, cultural, and intellectual landscape of the Near East. His military innovations revolutionized warfare, influencing military strategy and tactics for generations to come. His conquests expanded the boundaries of the known world, opening up new trade routes and fostering cultural exchange. His legacy as a military genius remains unchallenged, a testament to his strategic brilliance, tactical innovations, and unwavering determination. He remains a figure of immense historical significance, a symbol of ambition, conquest, and a lasting impact of a single individual on the course of history. Even today, his name evokes images of daring exploits and military prowess, a lasting tribute to his enduring legacy as one of history's greatest military commanders. His life, though tragically cut short at the age of 32, left an enduring legacy, shaping the ancient world and continuing to inspire awe and admiration centuries later. From the sweeping conquests of Alexander the Great, we now turn our gaze to the tumultuous era of the late Roman Republic, an age of political intrigue, military prowess, and ultimately, the dramatic rise and fall of one of history's most influential figures, Julius Caesar. His life, a captivating blend of military triumph, political maneuvering, and tragic assassination, serves as a compelling case study in the complexities of power, ambition, and the enduring impact of a single individual on the course of history. Caesar's story is not just about military victories. It's about the transformation of a republic into an empire, a transition that reverberates through the ages. Gaius Julius Caesar, born into a patrician family, began his career in the traditional Roman political system, navigating the intricate world of senatorial politics and military commands. His early military experience honed his strategic acumen and leadership abilities, qualities that would later propel him to unparalleled heights. His campaigns in Gaul, starting in 58 BCE, solidified his reputation as a brilliant military strategist and tactician. The Gallic Wars, meticulously documented in his own writings, detail not only his military victories, but also his understanding of logistics, troop morale, and the psychological aspects of warfare. He systematically conquered Gaul, expanding the Roman Empire's territory and enriching himself and his legions considerably. This military success, combined with his growing political influence in Rome, laid the groundwork for his future ambitions. Caesar's military achievements weren't solely based on brute force. He employed innovative tactics, adapting his strategies to overcome challenges presented by various terrains and adversaries. His understanding of logistics, crucial for sustaining large armies in distant lands, was exemplary. He ensured the consistent supply of his troops, minimizing the risk of logistical failures that could have undermined his campaigns. His ability to maintain high morale among his troops, fostering loyalty and inspiring courage, was a key factor in his string of victories. He skillfully employed combined arms tactics, integrating infantry, cavalry, and siege weaponry with remarkable coordination, maximizing their effectiveness on the battlefield. This masterful combination of military skill and strategic vision enabled him to achieve victory after victory, significantly expanding Rome's territorial reach and influence. These campaigns didn't just expand Roman territory. They brought in immense wealth, bolstering Caesar's popularity and influence back in Rome. Back in Rome, the political landscape was fraught with tension and rivalry. Caesar skillfully navigated the intricate web of alliances and rivalries, forming strategic partnerships and manipulating political events to advance his own ambitions. He formed the First Triumvirate, an informal political alliance with Pompey and Crassus, enabling him to gain significant political power and influence within the Roman Senate. This alliance, however, was ultimately short-lived, dissolving due to personal rivalries and conflicting ambitions, setting the stage for a decisive confrontation between Caesar and his former allies. Caesar's mastery of political maneuvering, his ability to cultivate alliances, and his shrewd understanding of Roman politics proved crucial in his rise to power. The crossing of the Rubicon River in 49 BCE, a symbolic act of defiance against the Roman Senate, marked a turning point in Caesar's career and Roman history. This audacious move, a blatant violation of Roman law, plunged the Republic into civil war. The ensuing conflict showcased Caesar's military genius, culminating in decisive victories over Pompey and his forces. This military success further solidified Caesar's position and paved the way for his ultimate seizure of power. The Civil War marked a pivotal moment in Roman history, illustrating the breakdown of republican institutions and the emergence of a more centralized, autocratic form of government. After securing victory in the Civil War, Caesar consolidated his power, becoming dictator perpetuo, a position of absolute authority with no defined term limit. This act effectively ended the Roman Republic and ushered in an era of imperial rule. He implemented significant political and social reforms, aiming to address the deep-seated issues that had plagued the Republic. These reforms, while intended to stabilize the political system and improve the lives of Roman citizens, inadvertently contributed to the growing resentment among the Roman elite, many of whom feared the concentration of power in Caesar's hands. His reforms, ambitious and wide-ranging, sought to restructure the Roman government, the legal system, and even the social fabric of Roman society. However, Caesar's reign, though characterized by significant reforms and ambitious projects, was short-lived. His growing power and ambition fueled resentment among members of the Roman Senate, who viewed him as a tyrant and a threat to the traditional Roman order. This opposition culminated in the infamous assassination of Caesar on the Ides of March in 44 BCE. The conspirators, driven by a mixture of fear, ambition, and a desire to restore the Republic, plunged their daggers into Caesar, ending his life and triggering a new wave of instability and civil war. Caesar's assassination, a brutal act of political violence, profoundly impacted Roman history. It ushered in a period of chaos and civil conflict, with different factions vying for power in the vacuum left by Caesar's death. The assassination didn't restore the Republic. Instead, it initiated a period of even greater instability, ultimately leading to the rise of the Roman Empire under Augustus, Caesar's adopted son. The legacy of Caesar's rule and his assassination continues to resonate through history, underscoring the inherent instability of unchecked power and the complexities of navigating the treacherous waters of political ambition. His rise and fall stand as a testament to the interplay of military brilliance, political acumen, and the tragic consequences of ambition unchecked. Caesar's story serves as a powerful reminder of the ephemeral nature of power and the lasting impact of a single individual on the course of history. His life and death, indelibly etched in the annals of history, continue to fascinate and inspire debate, underscoring the enduring complexity of his legacy. From the dramatic rise and fall of Julius Caesar, we journey eastward to the vast steppes of Central Asia, to the era of Genghis Khan, a figure whose name evokes both awe and terror. His life, a whirlwind of conquest and empire building, stands as a testament to military genius, ruthless efficiency, and the enduring impact of a single individual on the course of history. Genghis Khan's story is not merely one of military prowess. It's a narrative of unification, strategic brilliance, and the creation of an empire that would reshape the political and cultural landscape of Eurasia. Born Temujin, Genghis Khan's early life was marked by hardship and struggle. Orphaned at a young age, he rose through the ranks of the disparate Mongol tribes, overcoming adversity and consolidating his power through a combination of cunning, military skill, and unwavering determination. His initial struggles forged his character, shaping his leadership style and instilling in him the resilience necessary to overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles. The unification of the Mongol tribes, a feat that had eluded previous leaders, was a testament to his exceptional political and military acumen. He skillfully exploited existing divisions, formed strategic alliances, and crushed his rivals through a combination of strategic alliances and decisive military actions. Genghis Khan's military genius was unparalleled in its time. He revolutionized warfare, introducing innovative strategies and tactics that transformed the Mongol armies into a formidable force. He understood the importance of mobility, utilizing swift cavalry maneuvers to outflank and overwhelm his opponents. His armies were renowned for their discipline, logistical efficiency, and their use of combined arms tactics. He expertly integrated cavalry, archers, and siege weaponry, maximizing their effectiveness on the battlefield. His military organization was highly structured and efficient, allowing for rapid deployment and effective coordination of large-scale operations. His understanding of logistics, critical for sustaining large armies in extensive campaigns, was also crucial to his success. He ensured efficient supply lines and maintained the morale of his troops, even during extended campaigns across vast distances. His conquests were characterized by both swiftness and brutality. He conquered vast territories, extending the Mongol Empire across a significant portion of Eurasia. His military campaigns led to the subjugation of numerous kingdoms and empires, reshaping the political map of the continent. The sheer scale of his conquests, spanning vast distances and diverse cultures, stands as a testament to the power and efficiency of his military machine. The Mongol armies, under his leadership, were remarkably effective in overcoming vastly superior forces in numbers, showcasing their superior organization, discipline, and tactical prowess. His campaigns were efficient, swift, and decisive, leaving a profound and lasting impact on the conquered territories. The Mongol Empire, under Genghis Khan's rule, expanded at an unprecedented rate, bringing under its sway a vast array of cultures and peoples. His conquests extended from East Asia to Eastern Europe, establishing a vast and interconnected network of trade routes known as the Silk Road. This network facilitated the exchange of goods, ideas, and technologies across vast distances, profoundly influencing the economic and cultural development of Eurasia. The Pax Mongolica, a period of relative peace and stability within the vast Mongol Empire, fostered trade and cultural exchange, contributing to a period of economic prosperity and technological advancement. The empire's vast infrastructure, including the well-maintained roads and postal system, facilitated the seamless movement of goods, people, and information, contributing to the empire's overall efficiency and stability. Despite his military prowess and administrative skills, Genghis Khan's rule was characterized by brutality and ruthlessness. His campaigns often resulted in widespread destruction and immense loss of life, leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. While the Pax Mongolica fostered trade and stability within the empire's borders, his conquests were undeniably brutal, causing immense suffering and disruption to the conquered populations. The brutality was a strategic element of his campaigns, designed to instill fear and ensure compliance, though it also resulted in widespread destruction and loss of life. His methods, while undeniably effective, were undeniably harsh. The balance between the brutality of his conquests and the relative peace and prosperity of the Pax Mongolica is a crucial aspect of his legacy. Genghis Khan's legacy is complex and multifaceted. He was a ruthless conqueror, yet he also established a vast and relatively stable empire that facilitated trade and cultural exchange. He was a brilliant military strategist and a skilled administrator, yet his rule was marked by brutality and widespread destruction. His impact on Eurasia was profound and lasting, shaping the political, economic, and cultural landscape of the continent for centuries to come. The Mongol Empire, forged by his vision and military genius, left an indelible mark on history, a testament to his ambition, his ruthlessness, and his lasting influence on the world. His life and reign remain a subject of intense study and debate, highlighting the complexity of his legacy and the enduring questions surrounding his impact on history. His story continues to captivate and challenge our understanding of power, leadership, and the enduring consequences of ambition on a grand scale. From the vast sweep of Genghis Khan's empire, we shift our focus to the vibrant and diverse landscape of 16th century India, to the reign of Akbar the Great, a Mughal emperor whose legacy stands as a testament to enlightened rule, religious tolerance, and administrative brilliance. Akbar's reign, a period of remarkable stability and prosperity, provides a compelling counterpoint to the often brutal realities of imperial power, showcasing the potential for just and equitable governance in a vast and diverse empire. His story is not merely one of military conquest. It's a narrative of careful administration, cultural understanding, and the pursuit of a just and prosperous society for all his subjects. Akbar inherited a vast and complex empire, a legacy of conquest and conflict. The Mughal Empire, established by his ancestors, was a melting pot of diverse cultures, religions, and ethnicities. This diversity, while a source of richness and potential, also presented significant challenges to governance and stability. Akbar's reign, however, would become a hallmark of inclusive leadership, a period of relative peace and prosperity that contrasted sharply with the tumultuous reigns of some of his predecessors. His administrative reforms, designed to foster unity and stability within the empire, are a testament to his vision of a unified and prosperous India. The success of these reforms wasn't solely due to his military might, but rather his thoughtful approach to governance, informed by his keen understanding of cultural diversity and the need for inclusive policies. The hallmark of Akbar's reign was his unwavering commitment to religious tolerance. In an era marked by religious conflict and intolerance, Akbar adopted a policy of religious pluralism, fostering mutual respect and understanding among the diverse religious communities within his empire. He abolished the jizya tax, a discriminatory tax imposed on non-Muslims, a significant step towards promoting religious equality. This bold decision, which challenged the established norms of the time, demonstrated his unwavering commitment to religious tolerance and social justice. It was a departure from the prevailing religious policies of his time, reflecting his progressive thinking and his understanding of the need for social harmony. The abolition of the jizya tax was not merely a symbolic gesture. It was a tangible manifestation of his commitment to religious equality and social justice. Akbar's religious tolerance extended beyond the realm of taxation. He established a unique system of religious discourse, inviting scholars and theologians from various faiths to engage in open dialogue and debate. These discussions, facilitated by Akbar's own intellectual curiosity, fostered mutual understanding and respect among different religious communities. He established the Ibadat Khana, a place of worship dedicated to interfaith dialogue, where scholars from different faiths could engage in open discussions, fostering an atmosphere of mutual respect and tolerance. This initiative was unprecedented in its scale and scope, reflecting Akbar's commitment to promoting religious harmony and understanding. He actively sought to create a space where religious differences were not seen as barriers, but rather as sources of richness and diversity. Beyond his religious policies, Akbar implemented significant administrative reforms to strengthen his empire and improve the lives of his subjects. He established a centralized administrative system, streamlining the bureaucratic processes and improving the efficiency of governance. He introduced a standardized system of weights and measures, facilitating trade and commerce across the empire. These reforms, though seemingly mundane, were critical to establishing a stable and prosperous empire. They demonstrated his understanding of the need for efficient and equitable governance, promoting economic stability and social order. The standardization of weights and measures, for instance, fostered fair trade practices and facilitated economic growth across the empire. Akbar's military reforms were equally significant. He strengthened the Mughal army, improving its organization, training, and equipment. He developed a sophisticated intelligence network, ensuring the timely detection and suppression of rebellions. These reforms maintained stability and internal peace, allowing for the empire's consistent economic growth. He understood that a strong military was essential for maintaining order and stability within the empire, but he also understood that military strength alone was not enough to ensure lasting peace and prosperity. His military reforms were complemented by administrative and social reforms, creating a holistic approach to governance. Akbar's legacy extends far beyond the realm of administration and religious tolerance. He was a patron of the arts and learning, fostering a period of cultural flourishing within the Mughal Empire. His reign witnessed significant advancements in architecture, literature, and painting, reflecting the cultural richness and diversity of his empire. His patronage of the arts and sciences contributed to a golden age of cultural production, reflecting the intellectual dynamism of his reign. His commitment to cultural development was not simply a matter of personal preference. It was a reflection of his vision of a prosperous and vibrant empire, one that celebrated its diversity and cultural richness. Akbar's reign stands as a testament to the possibility of enlightened rule, religious tolerance, and effective governance in a vast and diverse empire. His legacy continues to inspire and challenge us to consider the importance of inclusivity, justice, and mutual understanding in the pursuit of a more just and equitable world. His policies of religious tolerance and his administrative reforms stand as a model for leaders across cultures and eras, highlighting the importance of wise governance, social justice, and inclusive leadership in building a stable and prosperous society. His story reminds us that effective leadership extends beyond military might and political maneuvering. It necessitates an understanding of diverse cultures, a commitment to justice, and a vision for a more equitable and harmonious future. His life and reign continue to resonate through history, a beacon of enlightened leadership in a world often marred by conflict and division. Having explored the reigns of rulers who represent both extremes of leadership, we now delve into a comparative analysis of their styles, motivations, and the far-reaching consequences of their decisions. This examination will move beyond simple labels of good or bad, aiming instead for a nuanced understanding of the complexities inherent in wielding immense power. We will contrast the autocratic approaches of rulers like Caligula and Ivan the Terrible with the more benevolent, though not always entirely unblemished, leadership of figures such as Akbar the Great. This comparison will illuminate not only the differences in their leadership styles, but also the profound impact these styles had on their empires and the enduring legacies they left behind. The autocratic style, exemplified by rulers like Caligula and Ivan the Terrible, is characterized by absolute power centralized in a single individual. Decisions are made unilaterally, often without consultation or consideration of dissenting opinions. These leaders frequently exhibited a disregard for the well-being of their subjects, prioritizing their own interests and desires above the needs of the state. Their rule was often marked by arbitrary actions, capricious punishments, and a general atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. Caligula's reign, infamous for its extravagance and cruelty, serves as a stark example of the dangers of unchecked power. His erratic behavior, bordering on madness, led to widespread suffering and instability within the Roman Empire. Similarly, Ivan the Terrible's rule, marked by paranoia and brutality, resulted in a period of widespread terror and oppression in Russia. Both rulers, driven by personal ambition and a thirst for power, prioritized their own interests over the welfare of their people, leading to significant instability and suffering. The decision-making processes of autocratic rulers were often opaque and unpredictable. Decisions were made based on whim, personal biases, or the influence of close advisors, rather than on rational considerations of state policy. This lack of transparency and predictability created an environment of uncertainty and instability, making it difficult for the populace to understand or anticipate the actions of their ruler. The consequences of these arbitrary decisions were often devastating, leading to widespread suffering, economic hardship, and social unrest. The absence of accountability further exacerbated these issues, leaving the population vulnerable to the whims of a single, unchecked individual. The lack of systematic decision-making processes fostered an environment of fear and insecurity, undermining the stability and prosperity of the empires they ruled. In contrast to the autocratic style, benevolent rulers like Akbar the Great prioritized the well-being of their subjects and the stability of their empires. Their leadership was characterized by commitment to justice, fairness, and inclusivity. Akbar's reign, marked by religious tolerance and administrative reforms, stands as a testament to the potential for enlightened leadership. His policies, designed to promote unity and prosperity within his vast and diverse empire, demonstrate a clear departure from the autocratic style prevalent among many of his contemporaries. His approach to governance prioritized the needs of his people, reflecting a fundamental understanding of the importance of social harmony and economic stability. His emphasis on religious tolerance and administrative efficiency created a more stable and prosperous society, contrasting sharply with the instability and suffering associated with autocratic rule. The decision-making processes of benevolent rulers were typically more transparent and participatory. They often consulted with advisors, seeking diverse perspectives and considering the potential consequences of their actions. Their decisions were generally guided by principles of justice, fairness, and the well-being of their subjects. This approach fostered trust and cooperation, creating a more stable and prosperous society. The emphasis on consultation and deliberation, as seen in Akbar's reign, enhanced the quality of decision-making, resulting in policies that were more effective and less prone to arbitrary or capricious actions. The transparent decision-making process also enhanced accountability, fostering trust and cooperation between the ruler and the ruled. The consequences of these contrasting leadership styles were starkly different. Autocratic rule often led to instability, oppression, and widespread suffering, while benevolent rule fostered stability, prosperity, and social harmony. The legacy of autocratic rulers is often one of fear, oppression, and destruction, while the legacy of benevolent rulers is one of progress, prosperity, and lasting positive impact on their societies. This difference stems from the fundamental approach to governance. The autocratic ruler prioritizes personal power and control, while the benevolent ruler prioritizes the well-being of their subjects and the stability of their empire. The long-term consequences of these contrasting approaches are clearly visible in the historical record, showcasing the enduring impact of leadership style on the fate of nations. In conclusion, the comparison of these vastly different leadership styles reveals a fundamental truth about power: its potential for both immense good and devastating harm. The choice between autocracy and benevolence is not merely a matter of personal preference. It is a critical decision that shapes the destiny of nations and the lives of millions. The legacy of each ruler, whether marked by tyranny or by progress, serves as a powerful reminder of the profound responsibility inherent in wielding immense power and the lasting impact of leadership on the course of history. The study of these rulers, from the most tyrannical to the most benevolent, provides valuable insights into the complexities of leadership, the importance of wise governance, and the enduring consequences of choices made by those in positions of power. Their stories, while vastly different, offer invaluable lessons for understanding the dynamics of power and its profound influence on the human experience. To fully comprehend the actions and legacies of history's most impactful rulers, we must move beyond a simplistic assessment of their individual characters and delve into the intricate tapestry of historical context. The social, political, and economic landscapes in which these rulers operated profoundly shaped their choices, influencing their actions and ultimately determining the nature of their legacies. Understanding these contexts allows us to move beyond simple judgments of good or bad and engage in a more nuanced analysis of their reigns. We will explore how the circumstances of their times, the challenges they faced, and the opportunities they seized contributed to their ultimate successes or failures. Let's begin by considering the tumultuous era in which Caligula reigned. The Roman Empire, though outwardly powerful, was beset by internal strife and political instability. The preceding reigns had been marked by uncertainty and power struggles, leaving the empire vulnerable to the erratic leadership of a young and inexperienced emperor. Caligula's actions, while undoubtedly reprehensible, cannot be fully understood without considering the chaotic political climate he inherited. His impulsive decisions and capricious behavior, while inexcusable, were, in part, a product of the unstable environment in which he found himself. The context of his reign reveals a man wrestling with power in the midst of a deeply fractured system. Similarly, Ivan the Terrible's reign in 16th century Russia was shaped by the ongoing struggle for power, both within the court and against external threats. Russia, at that time, was a relatively young and fragile state, constantly battling internal rebellions and external invasions. The pressures of maintaining control over a vast and diverse territory, while simultaneously facing constant threats, contributed to Ivan's increasingly paranoid and brutal rule. His actions, though undeniably horrific, need to be viewed within the context of his era, characterized by constant conflict and the ever-present threat to his authority. The precariousness of his position shaped his decisions, often leading to extreme measures designed to maintain his grip on power. The rise of Genghis Khan and the subsequent formation of the Mongol Empire are inextricably linked to the fragmented political landscape of 13th century Asia. The absence of a unified power structure allowed for the emergence of a strong leader who could unite disparate tribes and forge a powerful empire. Genghis Khan's military genius and ruthless efficiency were undoubtedly critical factors in his success, but his rise to power was also facilitated by the existing political instability and a lack of a dominant force in the region. The context of his reign highlights the importance of understanding the political dynamics of his time, revealing how a chaotic situation allowed for the emergence of a powerful and often brutal unifier. In stark contrast, Akbar the Great's reign in 16th century India benefited from a period of relative stability and prosperity within the Mughal Empire. The foundations of a strong and centralized state had been laid by his predecessors, providing a framework for his enlightened rule. While Akbar faced challenges, the context of his reign allowed him to focus on administrative reforms, economic development, and the promotion of religious tolerance. The stability and prosperity of the empire provided the necessary conditions for his visionary policies to flourish. This stands in sharp contrast to the context faced by rulers who inherited unstable or fragmented states, highlighting how a supportive environment can facilitate benevolent and transformative leadership. The economic context also played a crucial role in shaping these rulers' reigns. Caligula's extravagance, for instance, was fueled by the wealth of the Roman Empire, but it ultimately contributed to economic instability and popular discontent. Ivan the Terrible's policies, while aimed at consolidating power, also had significant economic consequences, impacting the lives of ordinary people. Conversely, Akbar's focus on economic development and efficient administration contributed to the prosperity of his empire. These examples underscore the close relationship between economic conditions and the impact of a ruler's actions on society. The economic realities of each era, whether periods of abundance or scarcity, significantly impacted the opportunities and limitations faced by each ruler. Furthermore, the social structures and cultural norms of each era played a significant part in shaping the reigns of these rulers. Caligula's actions, considered outrageous by modern standards, were not entirely unprecedented in the context of Roman imperial history. Similarly, Ivan the Terrible's brutality, while horrifying, was not entirely out of line with the norms of his time. In contrast, Akbar's policies of religious tolerance were, in many ways, ahead of their time, reflecting a more progressive and inclusive social vision. The social and cultural contexts highlight the evolution of societal norms and values, offering a broader understanding of the moral and ethical standards of each era. This understanding is vital for accurately interpreting the actions and legacies of these rulers. In conclusion, examining the reigns of history's most influential rulers requires a thorough understanding of their historical context. The social, political, and economic factors surrounding each ruler's reign profoundly shape their actions and legacies. By acknowledging the complexities of their times, we can move beyond simplistic evaluations of good or bad and engage in a more nuanced and comprehensive understanding of their impact on history. This contextual approach allows for a more balanced and insightful appreciation of the diverse forces that shaped the course of empires and the enduring legacy of these remarkable figures. Only by fully considering the context can we truly grasp the intricacies of their reigns and the profound impact they had on the world. Our understanding of historical figures, particularly powerful rulers, is often significantly shaped and sometimes distorted by the lens through which history is presented. The narratives we inherit are not always objective reflections of reality, but are often colored by propaganda, bias, and the selective preservation of information. This section will explore how propaganda and historical bias have influenced our perception of both the worst and greatest rulers, highlighting the importance of critical evaluation when assessing historical accounts. Consider the case of Caligula. His reign is notorious for its alleged excesses and cruelty, with tales of madness and debauchery dominating historical accounts. However, much of the information we have about Caligula comes from sources written by his enemies or those who sought to discredit his legacy. Tacitus, for example, a prominent Roman historian, wrote about Caligula's reign decades after his death, relying on potentially biased accounts and rumors. The lack of neutral, contemporary sources makes it difficult to separate fact from fiction, leaving us with a potentially exaggerated and distorted image of his personality and actions. Therefore, the seemingly overwhelming evidence of Caligula's depravity may well be a carefully crafted narrative intended to justify his assassination and legitimize the subsequent regime. Similarly, Ivan the Terrible's image is largely shaped by accounts written by his detractors and those who sought to undermine his authority. Many historical sources portray him as a tyrannical and paranoid ruler responsible for widespread suffering. However, these accounts often fail to consider the political and social context of his reign, neglecting to contextualize his actions within the tumultuous era he governed. While his cruelty is undeniable, the extent and nature of his tyranny remain open to interpretation, influenced by the biases of those who documented his reign. The surviving records, often created to bolster the claims of rival factions or subsequent regimes, lack the neutrality necessary for an unbiased account of his reign. The impact of propaganda and historical bias is not limited to the worst rulers. Even those celebrated as great, rulers have had their legacies shaped by deliberate manipulation and selective storytelling. Alexander the Great, for instance, is often portrayed as a brilliant military strategist and a visionary leader. However, his conquests also involved immense violence and brutality, often overlooked in romanticized accounts of his campaigns. The accounts of his achievements, written by court historians and chroniclers seeking to elevate his image, often minimized or omitted the less glorious aspects of his conquests. This selective presentation paints an incomplete and ultimately biased picture of his reign. The case of Genghis Khan presents a similar challenge. His military prowess and empire-building achievements are undeniable, but his reign was marked by widespread destruction and brutality. Contemporary accounts, often penned by those directly affected by his conquests, highlight the destructive consequences of his campaigns. However, subsequent narratives often downplay or ignore these aspects, focusing instead on his military genius and organizational skills. The resulting imbalance in historical narrative obscures the complexities of his reign and presents a selective, potentially glorified picture of his legacy. Akbar the Great, though often celebrated for his religious tolerance and administrative reforms, also engaged in military campaigns and consolidated his power through means that might be considered oppressive by modern standards. While sources often praise his progressive policies, the full picture of his reign is often obscured by a focus on his positive attributes. This selectivity, while not necessarily malicious, still results in an incomplete and possibly skewed understanding of his leadership. A balanced assessment requires careful consideration of all available sources and a critical approach to the narratives presented. This selective portrayal of historical figures is further complicated by the inherent biases in the historical record itself. The sheer volume of information available for some rulers, while vast, is often skewed toward the perspectives of the elite or the victorious. The voices of the ordinary people, often the most affected by the actions of rulers, are frequently absent or marginalized in official records. This creates an imbalance that significantly affects our understanding of the true impact of their reigns. The lack of diverse perspectives means that the experiences of the vast majority remain largely untold, leading to an incomplete and potentially misleading narrative. Furthermore, the interpretation of historical events is constantly evolving as new evidence emerges and historical scholarship advances. Modern historians have access to a wider range of sources and employ more sophisticated analytical techniques than their predecessors. This ongoing reassessment of historical accounts leads to a more nuanced and complex understanding of past events and figures. The interpretation of rulers' actions is not static, but dynamic, subject to revisions and refinements as new information surfaces and historical perspectives shift. This ongoing dialogue underscores the importance of critically engaging with historical narratives and the need for ongoing reassessment. In conclusion, our understanding of historical rulers is significantly impacted by propaganda, historical bias, and the limitations of the historical record. The narratives we inherit are not always objective or complete. A critical assessment of historical sources, coupled with a contextual understanding of the historical circumstances, is essential for forming a balanced and nuanced perception of these influential figures. By acknowledging these limitations and engaging with historical accounts critically, we can strive for a more accurate and complete understanding of the complex lives and legacies of history's most powerful rulers. The legacy of violence left by history's worst rulers is a complex and multifaceted issue, demanding careful analysis to understand its long-term consequences on their societies. While quantifying the exact levels of violence is challenging due to incomplete historical records and varying methodologies, comparing the scale and nature of violence under different rulers offers valuable insights. This comparison allows us to move beyond simple moral judgments and explore the lasting societal impacts of different forms of tyrannical rule. Let us begin by examining the reign of Caligula. While the extent of his cruelty is debated due to the biased nature of many historical sources, accounts suggest a pattern of arbitrary violence, executions without due process, and the use of terror to maintain control. His actions, though seemingly erratic, had a significant destabilizing effect on the Roman Empire, contributing to political instability and widespread fear. The long-term consequences of his reign included a decline in public trust in the imperial authority and a weakening of the empire's internal stability. This internal fragility made the empire more vulnerable to external threats and contributed to the subsequent turmoil. Ivan the Terrible's reign in Russia was marked by significantly more systematic violence. His reign witnessed the establishment of the Oprichnina, a secret police force that systematically eliminated political opponents and those perceived as threats to his authority. The Oprichnina's actions resulted in widespread executions, torture, and the destruction of entire communities. The long-term consequences were profound, leaving a legacy of fear and mistrust, hindering the development of political and social institutions. The violence of the Oprichnina contributed to the instability of the Russian state and exacerbated existing social tensions. The shadow of Ivan the Terrible's violence cast a long shadow over Russian history, influencing political culture for centuries to come. Nero's reign in Rome, while not marked by the same level of systematic violence as Ivan the Terrible's, was characterized by arbitrary executions and the persecution of Christians. His actions, fueled by paranoia and a desire to consolidate his power, created an atmosphere of fear and insecurity. The persecution of Christians, while not the sole cause, contributed to the early development of the Christian faith, shaping its organizational structure and theology. While Nero's violence was less systematic than Ivan's, it nonetheless left its mark on Roman society, contributing to internal divisions and undermining public confidence in the imperial system. Comparing these rulers highlights the varying scales and styles of violence. Caligula's reign was characterized by more arbitrary and impulsive violence, impacting the political stability of the empire. Ivan the Terrible's violence was more systematic and institutionalized, leaving a deeper and more lasting scar on Russian society. Nero's violence, though significant, was less pervasive, yet still contributed to social and political upheaval. Each ruler's actions, though distinct in their nature and scale, demonstrate the devastating impact of unchecked power and the long-lasting consequences of violence on society. It's important to emphasize that the long-term consequences of violence are not always immediately apparent. The effects can ripple through generations, influencing social structures, political systems, and cultural attitudes. The legacy of fear and mistrust instilled by these rulers often outlasted their reigns, shaping the political landscape for centuries to come. For example, the trauma caused by Ivan the Terrible's reign profoundly impacted the development of Russian political institutions and contributed to a culture of authoritarianism that persisted long after his death. Furthermore, the analysis of violence must account for the broader historical context. The political and social conditions under which these rulers operated significantly influenced their actions and the impact of their violence. The internal conflicts and external threats faced by each ruler shaped their responses, often leading to repressive measures and violence as a means to maintain control. Thus, understanding the full impact of their violence requires a comprehensive consideration of their historical context. In addition to the immediate victims of violence, its consequences often extended to broader segments of society. Economic disruption, social unrest, and the displacement of populations were common consequences of the violence inflicted by these rulers. The destruction of infrastructure, the disruption of trade, and the loss of human capital had long-term economic repercussions, hindering the development and prosperity of their societies. The instability created by violence often led to further cycles of conflict and violence, compounding the negative impacts on society. Finally, the analysis of the legacy of violence must account for the biases present in historical records. Many sources, especially those written by the ruler's opponents or subsequent regimes, tend to exaggerate the extent of violence to discredit the ruler's legacies. Conversely, official narratives might downplay or omit instances of violence to protect the image of the ruler and their dynasty. Therefore, a balanced assessment of the impact of violence requires a critical evaluation of all available sources and an understanding of the biases they may contain. In conclusion, comparing the levels of violence associated with the reigns of history's worst rulers reveals the devastating and long-lasting impacts of unchecked power. The scale and nature of violence varied, but the consequences, political instability, social disruption, economic hardship, and a legacy of fear were consistently profound and far-reaching. A comprehensive analysis requires considering the historical context, the various forms of violence employed, and the inherent biases in the historical record. Only through such a nuanced approach can we fully grasp the devastating legacy of violence left by these rulers and learn from their mistakes. The legacies of history's greatest rulers are often intertwined with significant achievements and innovations that have profoundly shaped societies and the world. While acknowledging the complexities and often brutal methods employed by these rulers, examining their positive contributions allows for a more nuanced understanding of their impact on history. This exploration moves beyond simple narratives of glory and conquest to delve into the lasting societal and cultural transformations they initiated. Consider Alexander the Great, whose conquests, while undeniably violent, also led to the unprecedented spread of Greek culture and ideas across a vast territory. The Hellenistic period, which followed his conquests, witnessed a remarkable fusion of Greek and Eastern cultures, resulting in innovations in art, architecture, philosophy, and science. Alexander's military achievements, however brutal, indirectly fostered an era of intellectual and cultural exchange that significantly influenced the development of Western civilization. The establishment of Alexandria, a major center of learning and commerce, stands as a testament to his impact on the intellectual landscape of the ancient world. Julius Caesar's reign, though short-lived, marked a pivotal moment in Roman history. His reforms, including the Julian calendar, which remains the foundation of our modern calendar system, demonstrate his practical approach to governance. His administrative reforms and military successes contributed to the expansion and consolidation of Roman power, leaving an enduring legacy on Roman law and political institutions. While his rise to power involved political maneuvering and violence, his lasting impact on Roman society and the subsequent development of Western legal systems cannot be ignored. The Julian calendar, a testament to his practical genius, continues to structure our lives today. Genghis Khan's Mongol Empire, known for its military prowess and brutality, also facilitated unprecedented trade and cultural exchange across Eurasia. The Pax Mongolica, a period of relative peace and stability under Mongol rule, allowed for the free flow of goods, ideas, and technologies along the Silk Road. This period witnessed the transmission of knowledge and innovations between East and West, contributing to advancements in various fields, including science, technology, and art. Though achieved through conquest and violence, this period of interconnectedness had a lasting impact on the development of Eurasian societies. The vast network of trade routes established under his rule facilitated the exchange of ideas and goods across continents, impacting global development. Akbar the Great's reign in the Mughal Empire was marked by significant administrative and cultural achievements. His religious tolerance policies, which fostered a climate of religious pluralism, stand in stark contrast to the religious intolerance of many other rulers. His administrative reforms, including land revenue systems and the establishment of a centralized bureaucracy, contributed to the economic prosperity and stability of his empire. His patronage of the arts and his promotion of intellectual discourse fostered a flourishing cultural environment. Akbar's reign stands as an example of successful governance, marked by both pragmatism and a commitment to religious harmony. His policies of religious tolerance and administrative efficiency stand out as exceptional, contributing to a period of relative peace and prosperity within his empire. These examples highlight the multifaceted nature of the legacies of greatest rulers. Their achievements and innovations were often intertwined with violence and oppression. However, separating the positive contributions from the negative aspects is crucial for a balanced understanding of their historical impact. The long-term consequences of their actions extend beyond military victories or political reforms, shaping cultural landscapes, influencing legal systems, and driving technological and intellectual progress. The enduring impact of their achievements continues to resonate in various aspects of modern society. Furthermore, evaluating the achievements of these rulers requires considering the historical context. The social, political, and economic conditions of their times played a significant role in shaping their actions and their impact. The specific challenges and opportunities they faced influenced their approaches to governance, leading to both positive and negative outcomes. A nuanced understanding requires analyzing their actions within the broader historical narrative, avoiding simplistic judgments based solely on modern values. The analysis of their achievements should also take into account the limitations of historical sources. Propaganda, bias, and the selective preservation of information often distort our understanding of these rulers' accomplishments. Critical evaluation of historical accounts is crucial for discerning fact from fiction and for constructing a more balanced and accurate assessment of their legacies. The narrative of history is often shaped by those in power, meaning a careful, critical analysis of sources is necessary to understand the full picture. Moreover, the long-term impact of these rulers' achievements is often not immediately apparent. The consequences of their actions ripple through generations, influencing social structures, political systems, and cultural attitudes. The institutional reforms, technological innovations, and cultural exchanges initiated during their reigns often have cascading effects, shaping the trajectory of societies long after their deaths. Their influence often extends far beyond their lifetimes and into the modern world. Finally, it is crucial to acknowledge that the achievements of these rulers often came at a considerable human cost. While celebrating their positive contributions, we must also confront the violence, oppression, and exploitation that were often integral to their rise and maintenance of power. A balanced assessment requires acknowledging both the positive and negative aspects of their legacies, avoiding a simplistic glorification of their achievements while recognizing their lasting impact on the world. History demands a nuanced understanding, recognizing both the achievements and the shortcomings of those who shaped our world. In conclusion, the legacies of history's greatest rulers are complex and multifaceted, characterized by both significant achievements and undeniable brutality. By examining their contributions to society and the world, while acknowledging the human cost of their actions, we gain a richer and more nuanced understanding of their historical impact. Their legacies extend far beyond their lifetimes, shaping the course of civilization in profound and lasting ways. A balanced assessment requires careful consideration of historical context, critical evaluation of sources, and an acknowledgement of the complexity inherent in judging historical figures. Understanding the actions of both the worst and greatest historical rulers requires delving into their motivations and ideologies. These internal drivers, their personal ambitions, beliefs, and worldviews, profoundly shaped their governance and left indelible marks on their societies. By comparing and contrasting these internal forces, we gain a deeper understanding of the complexities of power and its impact on history. Let's begin by examining the motivations of rulers often categorized as worst. Caligula, infamous for his alleged cruelty and extravagance, appears to have been driven by a potent cocktail of personal insecurity and a lust for power. His erratic behavior and impulsive violence, while perhaps exaggerated by historical accounts, suggest a ruler deeply troubled and driven by a need for immediate gratification and control. His reign, marked by paranoia and arbitrary acts of cruelty, highlights the dangers of unchecked power in the hands of an unstable individual. His actions, viewed through the lens of his personal psychology, paint a picture of a ruler whose insecurities manifested as tyranny. Ivan the Terrible, another ruler often cited as among history's worst, was arguably motivated by a desire for absolute control and the consolidation of his power. His establishment of the Oprichnina, a secret police force, was a calculated move to eliminate any perceived threats to his authority. While his reign also saw moments of genuine reform and administrative progress, his primary driving force seems to have been a relentless pursuit of absolute power, often achieved through brutal methods. His ideology, if it can be called that, centered on an unshakable belief in his own authority and a willingness to use any means necessary to maintain it. Nero, known for his extravagance and the persecution of Christians, presents a more complex case. His motivations seem to have been a blend of personal indulgence, political ambition, and a deep-seated insecurity. His actions, fueled by paranoia and a desire to consolidate his power, led to a reign marked by instability and violence. While his personal flaws undoubtedly contributed to his downfall, his reign also reflects the political complexities of the Roman Empire and the inherent tensions within the imperial system. His actions, a blend of self-indulgence and political calculation, paint a picture of a ruler struggling to maintain control amidst internal and external pressures. Now, let's turn our attention to the motivations and ideologies of rulers often considered among history's greatest. Alexander the Great's ambition was undeniably vast, driven by a desire for conquest and the creation of a vast empire. However, his motivations also included a genuine belief in the superiority of Greek culture and a desire to spread it across the known world. This belief, however misguided by modern standards, fueled his conquests and shaped his policies. His ambition was not solely about personal gain, but also about a larger vision of cultural dissemination and the unification of disparate peoples under a single, albeit forcefully imposed, rule. Julius Caesar's motivations were a complex mix of political ambition, military prowess, and a desire for reform. His rise to power involved significant political maneuvering and violence, but his subsequent reforms aimed at improving the lives of Roman citizens and strengthening the Republic. His motivations, though intertwined with personal ambition, also included a genuine concern for the well-being of the Roman state. His actions, a blend of political calculation and genuine reformist zeal, shaped the course of Roman history. Genghis Khan's motivations, while seemingly driven by conquest and the expansion of his empire, also included a vision of unity and order across the vast Eurasian steppe. His legal code, the Yasa, aimed to establish a unified legal system and promote order within his empire. While his methods were often brutal, his motivations also included a desire for stability and a structured society. His vision, however, achieved through conquest and violence, aimed at creating a unified and stable empire across a vast and diverse landscape. Akbar the Great's reign showcases a different set of motivations. His policies of religious tolerance and his emphasis on administrative efficiency were driven by a desire for stability and prosperity within his empire. His motivations were primarily focused on good governance and the well-being of his subjects. His actions reflect a ruler who prioritized the prosperity and stability of his realm over personal glory or religious dogma. His reign stands as an example of successful governance, driven by a commitment to pragmatic policies and a focus on the welfare of his people. Comparing these rulers reveals the diverse range of motivations and ideologies that shaped their reigns. The worst rulers were often driven by personal insecurities, a lust for power, or a combination of both, leading to tyranny and oppression. The greatest rulers, while often employing violent means, were frequently motivated by broader visions: the spread of culture, the consolidation of power for the sake of stability, or the pursuit of good governance. However, it's crucial to remember that even the greatest rulers often employed questionable methods, blurring the lines between these categories. Furthermore, the impact of these motivations and ideologies extended far beyond the rulers themselves. Their personal beliefs and ambitions shaped their policies, influenced their interactions with their subjects, and left a lasting legacy on their societies. Understanding these internal drivers is crucial for interpreting their actions and assessing their historical impact. The actions of these rulers were not solely the product of circumstance, but also of deeply ingrained personal beliefs and ambitions. Finally, it's important to note that the categorization of rulers as worst or greatest is inherently subjective and depends on the criteria used for evaluation. These labels often reflect the biases and perspectives of historians and the societies that remember them. A balanced assessment requires a nuanced understanding of the historical context, the complexities of human motivation, and the limitations of historical sources. The lines between worst and greatest are often blurred, reminding us that historical figures are rarely simply good or evil, but rather complex individuals operating within complex circumstances. Their motivations and ideologies, therefore, demand careful and contextualized study. Examining the economic policies of history's worst and greatest rulers reveals a fascinating contrast in approaches to managing resources and promoting prosperity. While some rulers prioritized personal enrichment and extravagant spending, others implemented policies aimed at fostering economic growth and stability, though often through methods we would today consider ethically questionable. Let's delve into the successes and failures of these diverse economic strategies. The economic policies of rulers often categorized as worst were frequently marked by mismanagement, extravagance, and a disregard for the welfare of their subjects. Caligula's reign, for example, was characterized by lavish spending and arbitrary taxation, leading to widespread economic hardship. His focus on personal enrichment and extravagant projects depleted the imperial treasury and burdened the Roman populace. His economic policies, driven by personal indulgence, ultimately contributed to social unrest and instability. The lack of sound economic planning during his reign resulted in significant financial strain on the empire. Ivan the Terrible's economic policies were similarly marked by inconsistency and a focus on consolidating his power rather than fostering economic growth. While periods of relative prosperity occurred during his reign, these were often undermined by his arbitrary seizures of property and his reliance on the oprichnina, a secret police force, which diverted resources away from productive activities. His economic actions, often motivated by political expediency, hindered the long-term economic development of Russia. The instability generated by his rule negatively impacted trade and investment, creating an uncertain economic climate. Nero's economic policies were characterized by extravagance and a disregard for fiscal responsibility. His lavish spending on personal projects and his frequent reliance on confiscations and arbitrary taxation placed a significant burden on the Roman economy. His reign saw significant inflation and economic instability, contributing to social unrest and ultimately to his downfall. His economic mismanagement reflects a leadership style prioritizing personal gratification over the economic well-being of his subjects. The impact of his policies was a weakening of the Roman economy and a contributing factor to the empire's decline. In contrast, the greatest rulers often implemented policies aimed at fostering economic growth and stability, although these policies were frequently intertwined with military conquest and exploitation. Alexander the Great's conquests, while undeniably violent, led to the expansion of trade routes and the establishment of new cities, which stimulated economic activity across his vast empire. His economic policies, indirectly resulting from his military campaigns, facilitated the flow of goods and ideas, contributing to economic growth in the Hellenistic world. While driven by conquest, the resulting economic expansion cannot be ignored. Julius Caesar's reforms, including land redistribution and debt relief, aimed to address economic inequalities and stabilize the Roman economy. While some of his policies were politically motivated, they also had the effect of improving the economic conditions for many Roman citizens. His economic reforms, though intertwined with his political ambitions, aimed to address issues of inequality and instability within the Roman Republic. His actions demonstrate a more pragmatic approach to economic management than many of his predecessors. Genghis Khan's establishment of the Pax Mongolica, a period of relative peace and stability under Mongol rule, fostered trade along the Silk Road, leading to significant economic growth across Eurasia. The security provided by the Mongol Empire facilitated the flow of goods and ideas, contributing to a period of unprecedented economic interconnectedness. His economic impact, though achieved through conquest, resulted in a period of significant economic expansion and cultural exchange. The stability he imposed, however brutally achieved, led to a flourishing of trade across Eurasia. Akbar the Great's reign was marked by significant economic reforms, including the implementation of efficient land revenue systems and the promotion of trade. His policies aimed to foster economic prosperity and stability within his empire, contributing to a period of relative wealth and growth. His focus on efficient administration and the promotion of commerce resulted in a flourishing economy during his reign. His economic policies were clearly aimed at promoting the overall prosperity of his empire, demonstrating a focus on good governance. Comparing these rulers reveals the different approaches to economic management, ranging from reckless extravagance to pragmatic reforms and the indirect economic consequences of military conquest. The worst rulers often prioritized personal gain and short-term solutions, leading to economic instability and hardship for their subjects. The greatest rulers, while often employing questionable means, frequently implemented policies that, in the long term, fostered economic growth and stability, albeit often at the expense of conquered populations. However, it's crucial to remember that even the greatest rulers' economic policies often involved exploitation and inequality. The prosperity generated by their reigns often came at the cost of subjugated populations, and through practices we would today consider unjust. A balanced assessment requires acknowledging both the positive and negative aspects of their economic legacies, recognizing the complexities of historical context and the limitations of historical sources. Judging these economic policies requires considering both their immediate effects and their long-term consequences, acknowledging the ethical implications of the means employed to achieve economic growth. Finally, we must recognize that the evaluation of economic policies is inherently complex and subject to interpretation. What constitutes success or failure depends on the criteria used for assessment and the perspectives of those evaluating the policies. A nuanced understanding demands careful consideration of the historical context, the limitations of available data, and the ethical implications of the methods employed. The economic legacy of these rulers remains a subject of ongoing debate and scholarly inquiry. The social landscape of an empire is profoundly shaped by the actions or inactions of its ruler. Examining the social reforms, or lack thereof, undertaken by history's worst and greatest rulers reveals a stark contrast in their impact on the lives of their subjects. While some rulers implemented policies that fostered social progress, albeit often with unintended consequences, others presided over reigns marked by oppression and social upheaval. Let's explore this fascinating dichotomy. The social impact of rulers often considered worst was overwhelmingly negative. Caligula's reign, characterized by capricious cruelty and a disregard for human life, led to widespread fear and social instability. His actions, driven by personal whims and a thirst for power, created a climate of terror, undermining social cohesion and trust. The absence of any meaningful social reforms during his reign resulted in widespread suffering and a breakdown of social order. His legacy was one of fear and repression, leaving a deep scar on Roman society. Ivan the Terrible's reign, though marked by periods of administrative reform, was primarily characterized by brutal oppression and the systematic elimination of perceived enemies. The establishment of the Oprichnina, a secret police force, instilled a climate of fear and paranoia, suppressing dissent and disrupting social harmony. While some administrative reforms did improve certain aspects of governance, the pervasive atmosphere of terror created by his actions far outweighed any positive social impacts. His legacy remains one of brutal authoritarianism and its destructive impact on social cohesion. Nero's rule was similarly marked by social upheaval and oppression. His persecution of Christians and his arbitrary exercise of power created an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. The lack of social reforms and the prevalence of violence during his reign significantly destabilized Roman society. His reign underscores the devastating consequences of unchecked power and the absence of compassion in leadership. His legacy is one of tyranny and its corrosive effect on social structures. In contrast, the greatest rulers often implemented social reforms, albeit often driven by pragmatic considerations of consolidating power or promoting stability within their diverse empires. Alexander the Great's conquests, while brutal, led to a degree of cultural exchange and the spread of Hellenistic ideas across a vast territory. The fusion of cultures, though often imposed through force, did lead to some degree of social integration and the dissemination of knowledge and ideas. However, the benefits of this cultural exchange were often overshadowed by the violence and oppression inherent in his conquests. Julius Caesar's reforms, while primarily focused on political and economic issues, had some positive social consequences. His efforts to address land ownership inequalities and to alleviate debt among the Roman populace contributed to a degree of social stability, although the underlying inequalities remained. His social impact, while not directly focused on comprehensive social reform, nevertheless had some positive consequences for certain segments of Roman society. His legacy, however, is complex and open to various interpretations. Genghis Khan's establishment of the Pax Mongolica, while achieved through conquest and brutal subjugation of many populations, surprisingly led to a degree of social stability and facilitated trade and cultural exchange across Eurasia. The relative peace and stability fostered by the Mongol Empire allowed for the interaction and exchange of ideas and goods across vast distances. However, this stability was built upon a foundation of violence and oppression, and the benefits were unevenly distributed across the empire's diverse populations. Akbar the Great's reign stands out for its relatively enlightened social policies. His promotion of religious tolerance and his efforts to integrate different religious communities within his empire represent a significant departure from the norm. His policies, while not perfect, created a relatively tolerant and inclusive society, fostering social harmony and stability. His legacy is one of relative social progress and the importance of inclusivity in governance. His reign stands as a testament to the potential for positive social change through enlightened leadership. Comparing these rulers reveals a striking contrast in their approaches to social reform. The worst rulers often created societies characterized by fear, oppression, and instability. The greatest rulers, while often employing questionable methods, sometimes implemented policies that fostered a degree of social progress, though frequently unevenly distributed and often achieved through violence and subjugation. However, it is crucial to acknowledge the limitations of such comparisons. The social impact of a ruler is rarely straightforward and often depends on various factors, including the specific historical context, the nature of the available sources, and the perspectives of the historians interpreting those sources. It is essential to analyze the social reforms within their historical context, recognizing both their intended and unintended consequences, as well as the ethical implications of the methods employed to achieve those reforms. In conclusion, while some rulers actively worked to improve the social fabric of their societies, often with mixed results, others presided over reigns marked by oppression and widespread suffering. The legacy of these rulers, therefore, is complex and multifaceted, requiring a nuanced understanding of their actions within their specific historical contexts. Their social policies, or lack thereof, offer invaluable lessons on the profound impact of leadership on the lives of individuals and the trajectory of entire societies. The complex interplay between power, social reform, and historical context underscores the need for critical and nuanced evaluation of historical figures and their enduring influence. The lives and reigns of history's worst and greatest rulers offer a profound and multifaceted exploration of power, its seductive allure, and its devastating potential. Their stories, though separated by centuries and vastly different contexts, resonate deeply because they illuminate enduring questions about leadership, morality, and the very nature of human ambition. These figures, in their triumphs and failures, serve as cautionary tales and inspiring examples, forcing us to confront the complexities of wielding immense authority. The worst rulers, figures like Caligula, Ivan the Terrible, and Nero, remind us of the dangers of unchecked power. Their reigns were characterized not only by cruelty and oppression, but also by a profound disconnect from the needs and aspirations of their people. Their motivations, a tangled mix of personal insecurity, lust for power, and a warped sense of entitlement, led to catastrophic consequences. Their stories serve as stark warnings against the seductive allure of absolute authority, demonstrating how easily power can corrupt and lead to tyranny. They highlight the importance of checks and balances, the need for accountability, and the vital role of empathy in leadership. Their failures highlight the fragility of power built on fear and oppression, ultimately unsustainable in the long run. The greatest rulers, while often achieving remarkable feats of military conquest and administrative prowess, present a more nuanced picture. Figures like Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, and Akbar the Great, each in their own way, left indelible marks on history, shaping empires and influencing the course of civilizations. However, their accomplishments were often achieved through methods we now find morally questionable, highlighting the uncomfortable tension between pragmatic leadership and ethical considerations. Their conquests, often brutal and exploitative, raise crucial questions about the price of progress and the legitimacy of power obtained through violence. These rulers' legacies remind us that even the most successful leaders are flawed, their achievements often tinged with moral ambiguity. The enduring relevance of these rulers' stories lies in their capacity to illuminate the enduring human condition. Their ambitions, their failures, and their triumphs resonate across time because they tap into fundamental aspects of human nature: the desire for power, the struggle for legitimacy, and the constant tension between individual ambition and the collective good. Their lives serve as a reminder that power is a double-edged sword, capable of both immense good and catastrophic harm. The manner in which power is exercised, the values that guide its use, and the ethical considerations that inform its application remain central questions for leaders and societies alike. The stories of these rulers also underscore the importance of context and perspective in evaluating historical figures. Judging past leaders solely by contemporary standards risks anachronism and misinterpretation. To understand their actions fully, we must strive to comprehend the historical circumstances in which they operated, the cultural norms that shape their decisions, and the limitations imposed by the knowledge and technology available to them. Such an understanding is essential for a truly nuanced and balanced evaluation of their legacies. However, this understanding should not preclude ethical judgment or prevent us from learning from their mistakes. Ultimately, the study of history's worst and greatest rulers provides invaluable lessons about the complexities of power and leadership. Their lives and reigns offer a rich tapestry of human experience, revealing the enduring tension between ambition and morality, between individual aspirations and the collective good. By critically examining their actions and their legacies, we can gain a deeper understanding of the challenges of leadership, the dangers of unchecked power, and the enduring importance of ethical considerations in the pursuit of progress. Their stories, far from being mere historical anecdotes, serve as timeless reminders of the enduring relevance of these fundamental questions, ensuring their continuing impact on our understanding of power and its implications. The examination of these diverse rulers allows for a comprehensive understanding of the multifaceted nature of leadership and its lasting consequences. The lessons learned from their successes and failures remain relevant in shaping our understanding of effective and ethical leadership in modern times. Their stories resonate because they reflect the perennial human struggle for power, justice, and lasting positive impact. Our journey through the lives and reigns of history's most extreme rulers has revealed a complex and multifaceted tapestry of power, ambition, and consequence. We've examined figures whose names are etched in history, not simply as monarchs or emperors, but as symbols of both the extraordinary heights and the devastating depths of human potential. From the tyrannical reigns marked by cruelty and oppression to the eras shaped by rulers who, despite their flaws, brought periods of relative peace and progress, each story offers a unique perspective on the enduring challenges of leadership. The worst rulers, those whose names often evoke images of cruelty and despotism, serve as potent reminders of the dangers inherent in unchecked power. Their actions, driven by personal ambition, paranoia, or a callous disregard for human life, often resulted in widespread suffering and social instability. Their legacies, while undeniably dark, provide invaluable lessons about the importance of accountability, the need for checks and balances, and the critical role of empathy and compassion in governance. Their failures serve as a stark warning against the seductive allure of absolute power and the corrosive effects of unchecked ambition. These cautionary tales highlight the fragility of regimes built on fear and oppression, ultimately unsustainable in the long run. However, our exploration extends beyond the purely negative. We've also examined the greatest rulers, those whose names are associated with significant achievements and lasting impact. These figures, often responsible for forging vast empires and enacting substantial reforms, present a more nuanced picture. While their accomplishments are undeniable, their methods often involve brutality, conquest, and the subjugation of entire populations. This reveals the complex interplay between pragmatic leadership and ethical considerations, forcing us to confront the uncomfortable tension between necessary actions and moral implications. Their legacies remind us that even the most successful leaders are deeply flawed, their achievements often achieved at a steep human cost. The key takeaway from this exploration is not simply a judgment of individual rulers as inherently good or bad, but a deeper understanding of the complex interplay of factors that shape their reigns and their legacies. The historical context, the prevailing social and cultural norms, the available resources, and the personalities of the leaders themselves all contribute to a rich and multifaceted narrative. Judging these figures solely by contemporary standards risks anachronism and an incomplete understanding of their actions and motivations. The study of these extreme rulers, both worst and greatest, reveals the inherent complexities of historical interpretation. The narratives we construct are inevitably shaped by our own perspectives, biases, and access to information. The surviving sources, often incomplete or biased, further complicate the task of reconstructing the past accurately. It's crucial, therefore, to approach historical narratives with a critical and discerning eye, acknowledging the limitations of our knowledge and the potential for misinterpretation. Furthermore, the study of these rulers underscores the importance of context in evaluating historical events. The actions of a ruler must be understood within the specific historical circumstances in which they occurred. Factors such as political instability, economic hardship, social unrest, and external threats can significantly influence a ruler's decisions and actions. Ignoring these contextual factors risks misrepresenting the past and drawing inaccurate conclusions about the motivations and consequences of historical events. In conclusion, the lessons derived from exploring history's most extreme rulers are far-reaching and profound. They offer a valuable lens through which to examine the complexities of power, ambition, and human nature. They remind us of the potential for both extraordinary good and catastrophic harm, highlighting the importance of accountability, ethical considerations, and a nuanced understanding of historical context. The study of history, far from being a mere academic exercise, provides invaluable insights into the human condition, equipping us with a deeper understanding of the present and a more informed perspective on the challenges facing our world today. By studying the past, we can gain a clearer understanding of the patterns of power, the consequences of choices, and the enduring relevance of ethical leadership, thereby making more informed decisions for a better future. The stories of these rulers, in their complexities and contradictions, provide a rich tapestry of human experience that continues to shape our understanding of power, leadership, and the enduring pursuit of a just and equitable world. The examination of these extremes offers a powerful reminder of the interconnectedness of past, present, and future, urging us to learn from history to better navigate the challenges of the present and shape a more hopeful tomorrow.